hello, hello, hello. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the latest broadcast of Dank, Dan plus Tank equals Dank Live. It's May 2nd, Thursday for me. I'm on the other side of the world from a lot of people, so it might be just the first evening for you, May 1st. Lots always happening. I did speak with Tank beforehand. We are going to attempt again to start with the, this time I'm going to, from the very beginning, start with the Blog Talk simulcast. So we're going to be doing some maneuvering around right now. I'm going to attempt to call in, and hopefully it is up and running. So please bear with me while I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot and see what happens. It's dialing. Appears to have answered. Hello? Hello, hello? Hello? Hung me up. No. It's not going to work. Apparently that's going to be it, because it was doing that beforehand. It looks like it's not going to be running. So anyway, I'm going to send a message to Tank and just basically say, we're going to have to, figure out something else for this to happen. So, pardon the mess, making sausages, video sausages. So I'm bumped off again. It just drops the line.
What's that?
It just drops the line. So it's not connecting.
You got the line right now, you said?
Yeah, I just dialed in, and it after 15 seconds it drops the line.
Yeah, I'm not launching till 9:30.
Oh, I thought we're doing this at the same time.
Yeah, sorry. See, it's scheduled to go at 9:30, so I'll come on with you on YouTube.
Ah, okay.
Before,
Wires.
And then we'll launch it. We'll just launch it like we've been doing.
Okay, wires.
Sorry, it was already pre-scheduled, so.
I got you now. All right. Okay, see you there.
Okay, I'll be right on.
Okay, wires crossed. Anyway, we'll be attempting it, to do again the simulcast between them, and hopefully we're able to get it accomplished. So, there's a lot of things going on. So some of the conversation I had yesterday with you about, while I wasn't on Blog Talk, until Tank ended up coming back on and joining with us, I was kind of going over this historical bonds, GCR, and how that all was fitting together with this, the current things. And there's some things that are happening, and I'll just wait for Tank to get on and we'll be able to talk about them. But just as a refresher from what I was discussing, so I had my Chinese partner offer me some Morgenthau bonds. We're talking about bonds from 80 years ago, right? Representing gold, that there's have a value. Let's go to trade and so on. The thing is, these bonds and all of this, hundreds of different types of bonds that were offered, pretty paper. Turn over your gold, here's a pretty paper, and we'll pay you interest in gold. It'll come in, 30 years from now. And then it didn't quite happen that way. So caused a lot of controversy. A lot of things didn't get paid. Some things got paid from those on the cabal side of things. The certain groups were able to get their things done. But they would put it into trade to create money in the world. The system was set up with the World Bank, IMF, BIS to create money in the system for the countries all to benefit from all around the world. And that money was basically created on the trading, from the trading platforms. I'm calling them trading platforms as a common name, as a reference. It's not something that you're going to find, you'll find people talking about it, but they're not really called trading platforms. So, but as a reference for us to discuss, well, I'm just using the term trading platforms. And when this was started, this is only countries were doing this. This is only way to trade is by a country trading, right? The purpose was for their humanitarian project that went to the World Bank and got a humanitarian project number, which then the IMF would then get the monies dispersed, so that that would come from the trading platform to fund the project. And this is how wealth would be created. But what you would have is an asset that would come in. That asset would be used to start the trading. And it would trade it up and up and up and up and up and up. And let's say it went in, 100 to 1. Let's say you had $1 billion. It would end up being, 100 billion. So that 100 billion would be then put out into the project and pay for every little thing. So that would go out and pay for the people that were working the project. Let's say you're building a dam, acquire the land, acquire all the rights, bring in the engineering, start paying it out. So what happens at that point is the money goes out into the into that area where the project is. People got paid, and the money started floating around, and it would actually accelerate, economic activity in any particular area. So this was the great plan, right? It sounds good. So why would a country want to do this? Is because they're going to be able to get they're putting up an asset like this, but they're going to get so much out of it, and it all goes out into the economy and starts developing a lot of growth. That brings abundance. The only problem is that not all countries actually got the benefit of it. Only certain countries were able to do projects. Otherwise, these projects would be everywhere, right? And be funded. Now, Tank has said that only 1.5% of the money for projects ever makes it out. The rest of it is basically stolen away. I don't know how many zeros you could put into a bank account, right? That for someone that's behind the scenes working these, that will fill these people up with something, because they obviously don't have enough. Because they need to fill that up with many, many, many hundreds and hundreds of zeros, right? Doesn't matter, because it's all worth zero. What matters is what was built out in the world and the impact on people. So if we have this flow going out into the world, we wouldn't be in the situation of no one having money around the whole planet. It's the system that is not allowing this to happen because of the people controlling it. And now they've offered a new system that they're going to bring on, and just follow them, right? Because they are the ones that know how this all works, and we're going to make you rich, right? That's the pitch. You're going to turn in these historical bonds, you're going to turn in this currency, and then you're going to be rich. Now, why didn't they make everyone rich before? The system was set up to bring abundance around the world to all these countries, but it didn't happen. Why not? They're going to do it now? Really? Sure. There'll be some, the next couple of years, there'll be a lot of money floating around, but then we'll see this skyrocketing inflation, because so much money dumped on the system will cause a frenzy and craziness where prices are going to go up 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. There's a reason why Zimbabwe had $100 trillion note. Is it any different? Really, it is a piece of paper that has a bigger number on it, right? It's the same amount of ink, same value of paper. What's the value of that? It's what the people think. So when you have $100 trillion one of these notes, and you're going to revalue it, and you're now going to be able to use this revalued currency, you're going to be making a lot of money. Sure, great. How long is it going to be worth it? And those single dollars that you got out of it is now going to be worth, 2 months later, or 3 months later, or 6 months later, or a year later. The value is going to devalue so quickly because you only had one of these $100 trillion notes and you were out spending. No, because there was millions of people out there, and some have only $100 trillion, and some have container loads, millions of these notes, millions of these pieces of paper, and they're all supposed to be revalued. This new system was set up to crash the world and then usher in the new world order. The shadow government, controlling things from behind and having this government do that and this government do that, and then the United Nations rolling in with blue helmets, removing guns from people until Trump just pulled that signature back that Obama put out there. This system was set, is not going to be for your betterment. They didn't do it before. They're not going to do it now. So forget about the RV and the GCR, because it's not going to be a good thing. So Tank, what do you think? We have some news about the new GCR plan. What's going to happen with it? Something coming out today. I guess he's not ready. He's sitting here, but on mute. Well, they're not. The system is not meant for you to do well. It's for them to restructure everything, and with this momentum. He dropped off. With the momentum, they would bring in this whole new world order, right? And all the people that they've paid around the world, all these generals sitting in every country with their dinar and their zim, right? Their historical bonds. They're all waiting, right? Hey, then they're going to be off to the races. And while everyone's distracted with all of these funds, the system is going to be restructured from behind. You're back, Tank.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I was talking.
It showed that you were muted, but anyway. So what's there's some news in the GCR world today, right? It's happening.
Yeah, I was told to. I got a whole team over at the Speak Project, and they told me to wait till we go on Speak Pro Radio, and I'll talk about all that. When you and I are talking in about 15 minutes. And we're going to try our best to get this done without any glitches today. So, I'm going to send you the invite. You'll be able to call in.
Link after you're on.
Yeah,
and we'll see if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things going on that are going to really support exactly what we've been telling you, and really going to support exactly the things you talked about yesterday about how they use these different instruments to create leverage. And the whole system is really challenged right now. And the Rothschilds and the various dragon families, they're still actively trying to act like they're in control, but in their heart of hearts, they're panicking, and they know that because they can't access the money, and no matter what they do, they're surviving on the illusion that they're in power still. They continue to try to manipulate and move funds and do things, and nothing is working. Everything they try gets blocked. Everything. So, at the end of the day, it's for our greatest good, because we'll be able to bring funds in for projects based on production lines and actually do some real work and with real money, and that's the change we're at, and this is I heard some gurus in the dinar community, and they were talking about these different timelines and how they came in on this timeline and that timeline, and there was an RV, and then the third timeline there was no RV, and that something went terribly wrong, and then they were talking about other timelines. Well, first of all, that's just a there's an infinite number of timelines. That's number one. Number two, what my friend told me was that we're what went wrong for the third timeline, but really it's what goes right, But the RV and the GCR right now, they're still pressing this like it is about to happen, which is the very nature of the tomorrow game, right? So that's kind of what we're up against at the moment.
Well, yeah, they're the presentation of a new plan and how they're going to move forward. Mnuchin is still in China, or did he get out of China?
Last thing I heard today was that he was still in China, and then I have various other tertiary reports that don't specifically indicate him being there, but they certainly would speak to him being there, and also speaking to the reason why we said he'd be there. To try to find a new way to. By the way, it's never a new way. They do the same exact thing, just using different names, different organizations. Same thing though every time. So he's there trying the exact same thing as if it's new as we speak. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, it's obvious that this new plan has come out, right, and while Mnuchin is there, so the Chinese elders, the benevolent Chinese elders, are now working towards getting the new money out, right? Here's the new plan. This is how they're going to do it.
So are you referring to something specific, Dan? I must have missed you
No,
talking
not
about that.
that. No, I wasn't. This is just it's just what else? What else are they doing there, right? They're it only happens when Mnuchin is out there, as you said, the golden child, right? The one that's to bring in the new GCR, that he's the one that usher it in, right?
You know
But it
what?
hasn't happened.
This is the perfect. This is the perfect. I saw this skit the other day. My son was showing me, right, and it was a group of people playing hangman, right, and and the guy, it was literally like supposed to be like the old west, and they were going to hang this guy if he lost hangman. So they're all guessing. They keep guessing letters, and over again they go into a group, and they were just it was like a pack of fools, right? They go together. They go, okay, we thought about it, and we're guessing the letter C. And they say, okay, there's no C. They go back, okay. They go back in. They huddle up. They go, okay, we thought about it again, and we think it's C. And they would just keep saying the same thing. And after a while, they're like, what do you mean? You already guessed that. It's not that, right? And that's how I feel about the cabal right now. All right, it's like, okay, we're gonna try this. No, okay, we're gonna try this, which is the exact same thing you just said. And I just feel like that's what they keep doing over and over and over again.
Well, that
So
means that they'll be hung soon.
yes, it does. That's what you would think.
Yeah.
So but
And
I
then,
thought
and then after they're swinging, they'll say, "It's C."
we know it's C, right? So but I thought in other news, what happened today with I don't know if you got the update, but with you know, President Trump and the Democrats worked on the infrastructure, and they agreed on bringing in $2 trillion for the infrastructure
Yeah.
to build.
Well, Nancy had a big smile on her face. She couldn't get it off of her face, right? She's it's beaming. Oh, 2 trillion, 2 trillion. So where'd the money come from?
Well, I think it's I think that in their mind they just won some kind of a moral victory. It was back, I want to say 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe, and they were talking about the Democrats all of a sudden, right after they're blocking us on everything. They blocked relief funds. They don't want to help anybody with anything. All of a sudden they came out and said, well, we want half of all this money, right? And this was like public, right? They were talking about bringing. They didn't define where the money was, but it was the money from the trust. They wanted half of that for humanitarian projects. And anybody who knows that humanitarian projects is code for the Rothschilds, right? Because they're the ones who are they're like the cowboys, right? They're humanitarians. That's their what they do. They herd humans from around all over the place, and they they buy and sell them, and cut them up and use their parts, and and rape the kids and all types of horrible things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's their business. That's their business, is humanitarians, right? It doesn't actually do anything for humanity itself in a positive way, no more than the slaughterhouse does any good for the cow, but same principle. So I can't see the Democrats really being entrusted with anything like actually humane to actually empower humans, But it kind of feels to me like they felt like they got one over on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think that they're going to continue, like I said, to swing, from the rope, trying to make this happen. But the question is, how do we move? How do we move this forward if we're, in a waiting, waiting game on both sides? Because that's, I'm looking at this. I think, okay, well, we got the military on one side. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. They can't come. If they can go into the treasury, great. They get them, to move, great. But we should have that. If that's happening, what else is there to stop them, right? Going into the banks and say, okay, the money's coming in. You're going to go ahead and do something. You're going to allow it to flow in. I don't get how they're going to be able to stop this at this level, or it can only be like, okay, it's happening today. It's happening, because the people are standing over their shoulder and transferring the money. I think I said this to you before. It's like the military, they have their own bank. They got cash. They can pump out the cash out of there and go put it in the hands of the project in cash. Boom. You go out and put it into the economy, all in cash. Don't send it through the electronic system.
The problem is 80% of the cash is counterfeit, right? So,
but this wouldn't be counterfeit then, right? Because this came down. It has allocation numbers.
Right, but it doesn't magically produce the exact currency. I mean, you still have currency in pallets that are just fake out there, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be actually allocated, and once it comes in, they know, well, you got a whole lot of cash that you got to gather up and burn.
Well, throw the thing through a printer and print the new allocation number on it.
I agree. Yeah, you know what? It should be that simple, right? Like the ATMs you want to design, we'll just print them up right there.
There you go.
Perfect.
But in any case, there is cash out there that's not, fake. So this is something that can get done in one way or another. So ultimately there is at this point, if the military is on board, there's no reason the money shouldn't flow.
Yep, that is a fair assumption. That is what I expect as well. So I at this point, I really question what it is that is keeping the military from being able to clear these transfers. I as far as I know, they still have guns, and they have various weaponry, and I do think that if it's really just people in a third dimensional world, right, that are here, right, it's not a cyber issue, because Kim has cleared the transfers all the way to the banks. They're sitting there, the money is sitting there in the banks. And so in reality, you just have some people in a transfer room who are redirecting these transfers, right? And they're holding them in clearance accounts. And I've suggested to Kim to take away their ability, as soon as it goes in the clearance account, give them 24 hours. And then, if it doesn't clear in 24 hours, I'd say shut the bank down, shut down every single account to every person who was involved with that transaction.
Send out the pink slips. Okay, you're fired. And then have a group of people come in right after them. Replace the people in the banks.
Well, I mean, you have Mnuchin committing treason, and we can't seem to get him fired. So, it really makes you wonder, how is it even possible? What are the goods on these guys that they have on people, that they're able to do this, and I think it has to do with the original programming that's there. Actually, somebody was telling me this today that my friend Shiley was telling me that uh, that you know this individual she knew worked for a bank, the Bank of China, and said that all of them are chipped, right? They all have this microchip in them, which the microchips are designed that they can control your thoughts and your actions and all types of things, right? And eventually, remember we had all these like suicides that were
they're also
happening,
designed to kill you.
right?
Their battery works off of cyanide,
Hmm.
so they can just say, "Oh, that chip, let's turn it off."
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Well,
don't
so
get
yeah,
chipped.
don't
Yeah.
get. I remember my favorite story about a banker suicide was an individual who allegedly killed himself by shooting himself with a nail gun 39 times.
Yeah.
I thought, that's it's highly unlikely. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
after 20, you'd probably stop. But
Especially when the first two were nailing his hands to the ground.
yeah, exactly right. So it's some scary stuff. Some scary stuff. But yep. All right, I'm gonna go launch that, and I will send you the invites as soon as I get it.
Okay.
And we'll
Yeah,
go from there. And hopefully we go off
after
without
your
a lot of hitch today.
yeah, make that link before. I won't try to call in. I'll just use the web feature from the link you send me.
Cool. Yeah, I sent you a link just now for that you can post on YouTube for people, but so don't use that one. The next one I send is what you're going to use. Okay. Talk to you in a bit.
Again, yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to give this another shot. See if we can make this happen. So, one way or another, we'll figure it out. The whole point is to make sure that there's call-in lines, right? It makes it easier for a lot of people. Obviously, the digital link is not working with Blog Talk too well. I can't get it to work again, unless I maybe I could try from a different device and try it that way. Which is we can try it that way. Let's see if that happens. But it didn't happen before. So just wait. Give them a few minutes. So I'm just going to go back to kind of what we were discussing now. In these this system that it's supposed to now revalue these currencies. Yeah, they're again talking about the how are bring your bonds, get your bonds ready. We're gonna go forward. So what does it mean again? What is it? How are they going to revalue these things? He's just sent me a message. All right, I'm gonna just wait a little bit. So it's because it's just 9:30 right now. See what happens. Okay. Um, well, one day we're going to get this thing straightened out, so it'll be much more smoother, and we won't have to and interrupt. I know it's hard to track when we're trying to figure out things on this end. So, my my friends that were offering me some more of these like these Morgenthau bonds, you know, it's like it's the same story, right? They want to take them and get money out of the system, right? But these bonds have all been redeemed, right? And it's been since 2007, that they were already put into the system. So how are you going to be able to take any of them? And even if you have the paper, they didn't require you to have the paper. Didn't require you to have the paper at all, right? Because they just needed the numbers, and then they can basically mark them off the list as spent, as redeemed, and they're no longer valid. So you could be holding the paper, and your information went out for the actual bonds themselves, and they just took the information. Right? You just provide it in form of pictures. What do they need to have the physical stuff for? It should be destroyed, right? After it's spent, so that people don't take them and resell them or use them, which is apparently what has happened as a worldwide scam, because all the stuff is already redeemed. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and check. Oh, he's sending me another message. Give me another link. Okay, I'm gonna try it. See what happens. It looks. I'm going to just share my screen so you can see what's going on. So this is the link I just sent. So the idea is you go down here, put in the name, and nada. Right? Same problem. No link. I sent him the message. No button after putting in my name. The thing is for me to go ahead and try to use the same method as yesterday. So let me go ahead. I have it already queued up. Okay, it's on. Hello. 5 seconds into it. 15 seconds. It was been dropping me from it. So we'll see if it drops again. It's 15 seconds. It's still going, but I don't hear anything. I am on. What? Hang on. And I do not hear anything. There we go. Same as yesterday. All I can think is could do 2 computers and see if that works. And see, it doesn't even show. See, before this Speak Project Radio would come up, but it's not coming up. So something is stopping it. Yeah. Well, I could put it on and we could hear, but that's not going to really do anything. Check the mic. Yeah, well, all right, I'll check the mic. I will. Okay. The microphone. Hello. It works. I don't know. Can you hear me? Oh, I heard something go ding ding ding. Oh, that's probably me getting bumped off the line. I'm looking back and see. I think that's it. Yep, offline. 3 minutes. Line just dropped. Yeah, not working. So I'll try from my phone. Yeah, not working. Uh, I'm just going to try calling using my phone device, but still see if that will work. Yeah, I'm not having high hopes for it, but we'll give it another shot. No, no, not having success. Well, try another phone. Sorry about this. Oh, yes. Yesterday I saw an unidentified flying object. Took some photos. I'll show you in a minute. While I was talking with a tank, I said, "What's that?" Hovering over Manila. I could, I took as best of a phone call as I could, though, but I just don't know how good it's going to be. Um, you can't quite tell. Even it's just like like a flat disc. Yeah, I just don't see this as working. Yeah, that doesn't work. Hmm. Oh, well. I guess there's not really much more I could do. It's just not connecting. Obviously, if this is a clowning problem, right? We have it worked, and then doesn't work the next day. Obviously, it's the problem. So there's ultimately another way to get around it, but I don't think it's going to be something that can work today. I'll try calling in again. It's connected. Hello? Hello? But I just don't hear anything. It's funny. I should at least be able to, tune in over the air to listen to an episode too, but it's not allowing. So Tank, I'm sorry, I don't, if you're hearing me, I can't hear you still. So, just take that off. I don't hear anything. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just give up on this this attempt, and the microphone was just fine. All right. Well, let's see. We got 156 people, on, and the only thing I can say is that we can continue on. And I did send out the link to Tui, so we can join in and continue with this. I know that Tank gave me an update, but it's not too much different, and it really it's really about the GCR and funds being offered for basically they're offering $250,000 for people to as they're calling healing funds. So you've been desperately waiting to get your GCR funds, right? But what they're going to do is they're going to snag up the pieces of paper. Now, again, these pieces of paper have been redeemed, right? But they're they're trying to pull off something in the current system to get it to happen, right? This is like a last-ditch attempt. So healing funds of $250,000, just so you can have a little bit of money, but you sign right here. You're going to turn over your asset to them. And then they can come back and say, oh, well, this is all going into the humanitarian project, whatever their excuse is going to be. So now you give up all of this. Oh, hello, Tank. You're back?
Yeah, I got bumped off Blog Talk myself. So, you know what? I figure I'll have to continue to work on those glitches. So I apologize to anyone who's over there. I will make that work one way or another, but haven't been successful so far.
Maybe we want to go to podcasts.
Sure. Yeah, we can
do that.
Spreaker or any of those things.
Anyway, we can come up with other solutions. There's many more than Blog Talk. If Blog Talk is not reliable, just put it that way. Other than clowning around happening.
Well, Blog Talk is the one venue where people can call in, though. That's what I like about it, and that's I want people to interact. And for the long term, the reason why is because even after these funds come in, I want to be able to have my finger on the pulse of what's going on with the people in case we miss anything. And, as we're bringing funds in and projects are being funded, I want to be able to actually talk to people because we're not going to be able to reach everybody, the way I do now.
Well, I know we'll be able to figure it out where we can have some calling in that's occurring. And I would say, we can do just a Zoom. A Zoom has the phone numbers, international phone numbers also. They're very good to get around the world. So in Blog Talk, you're only U.S. numbers. So and then we'd be able to go ahead and work from there, right? And have call in people. And I don't know, maybe we can still run Hangouts at the same time. We can try some different things.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Anyway,
I'll give you an
was.
update.
Yeah, you go for the update. I was kind of starting to lead in. I said about healing funds, and that's about as far as I was getting, saying that they're asking for your bonds.
Yeah. So just to give everybody somewhat of a an update, right now the banks are somehow, and I really don't know how, they're still holding all of us hostage. The Pentagon, they still, what Kim said is that they're still deciding, where they're going to stand. And the reason why they still are on the fence about what to do is because they are under the delusion that somehow they're going to impose the global currency reset or the revaluation. So the reason being is that the top brass at all of these various banks have been promised, bazillions of dollars to, to hold out for the global currency reset, and they are so used to winning that they continue to think that's what's going to happen. So right now, you know, Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, how he's still the Secretary of Treasury, I do not know, but he is currently in China. And while he's in China, he is, right now, there's allegedly he's negotiating a deal. In my opinion, he's there to try to bring in the global currency reset, and he's continuing to try to deceive the world by doing that. And I have quite a bit of evidence to kind of back that up. There is definitely, they're trying to push various trading platforms out of Hong Kong and other places, but we know that the actual trading platforms are shut down, so they are not in operation. So this is the update. I'm going to read it to you right now, just to give you guys an idea of some of the things that are going on. So what they're pushing is this. So I'm saying this is kind of a buyer beware kind of a testimony right now. That because there's some things out there that are happening right now, and this is very aggressively happening, and I'm going to tell you why it's happening. So IMF agents are contacting people who have Pacelli bonds or railroad bonds, and that are held with a company called Race, RACE, to acquire this specific type of German bond that they believe are held, but the same people, potentially hold. So some people have had these German bonds and they've since got rid of them, but in some cases they want to get their hands on the original bond, the original paperwork, because those are real. But as we've discussed, these have already been redeemed and the money has already been taken, and then they resold them. Okay, so various organizations around the world like HAPS Global, HAPS Global, and MG Holdings LLC are sending out promissory notes to be signed by people to turn over their assets, their actual hard asset of the, this bond that they may possess. And in return, they're giving them healing funds. So this quote unquote healing funds, these are supposed to be immediate return. Like within 2 weeks, they'll get $250,000 just to sign over the asset. And in return, the idea is that eventually they'll redeem that asset with that group. Again, this is a setup, right? They're taking the asset, they want to take the bond, and they want to register it, possibly in something like the MERS system, and then they're going to use it as leverage, right, as collateral, so that they can go out and trade on a platform somewhere and create the illusion of money. And also, allegedly, in kind of RV news, the pay orders are going out from Zurich to paymasters to redeem the bonds and currency. Now, this again is not possible. It's not true. The paymasters have had accounts for a long time that show money. There's no money in them. Okay, they don't have any money there. These are just mirrored accounts that have a data entry in them. And so whenever they go to pay out, it never happens. And I can pretty much guarantee you, you could talk to a whole bunch of people who've been to these events. They've traveled around the world, and they're expecting money. You know, one of our own creators, Dale in Australia, he just traveled out somewhere, spent his last dime. And he's a pastor in a church, and he has amazing projects to fund his project. And when he got there was no money to be found because everything they do right now, they don't have access to the money. So whenever they try to access the system, they're usually attempting to hack the system with some. Well, the Hercules system was based out of built by a hacker out of Hong Kong, and they would constantly try to hack the trust, but they weren't able to ever hack the trust. So much so that even when they attempt to, some higher technology, like when the CIA satellites went down, that was because they tried to mess with the trust. Just recently, last week, there was two satellites that tried to interfere with the trust, and those satellites are no longer operational. So there is no question at this point. Every time they try to do something, it blows up in their face because their intention is to enslave you and to kill you off, right? That's their goal. So the global currency reset, and that includes the bonds and includes, all the prosperity packages that they're promising, all of that flood of wealth, right? It's like a glass of water could, save your life, if you were dying of thirst. But you know what? If you got hit with a lake of water all at once, it would drown you. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to drown all of us in so much wealth that we do nothing but just get fat and lazy and don't realize that they are, launching the zombie apocalypse. So that's the general state of the union of what's happening. And the leverage of these assets is pretty much what Dan talked about last night. And he verified for us that years ago, one of his contacts told him that these bonds were already redeemed, right? Because they have no value. They have no value. They're just, I mean, the historical value, there's some, historical value to having an original document like that, but not the billions of dollars that we all think are attached to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They've been redeemed and then they were just recycled to make, this GCR, right? Apply, for them to create the RV and GCR. Here's all these bonds they already redeemed. What do they care about the currencies from Zimbabwe, right? It's it's they had all, they had these bonds that represented actual asset, where all the fiat currency represents nothing. So the these bonds meant something, right? They were even should have been already exercised or redeemed, way in the past, and then the Fed never redeemed them and would deny that they were real, and the people were, that they had received them. The original people received them. They're trying to redeem them and said, "No, these are the real ones." I heard the story over and over again where they weren't redeemed. But what do? They take them and they put them into, they'll get a bank to accept them, put them on ledger, and they'll borrow against them. And that's what's been going on. Yeah, they were real. But for them to actually get their original gold back wasn't going to happen. So they ended up allowing them to flow into the banks in certain ways, and they maneuvered them in certain ways, and so they were always in the not in the gray screens, right? They existed in reality, or they'd show them in the gray screens, and then they'd say, "See, I've got money," and then they'd leverage, the concept of them having money to use it. So, this is the state of things when you don't have a system that is built for real prosperity and abundance for all. You have something that's designed to extract asset from everyone and give pretty paper, right? And then everyone's happy running around with the pretty paper. And then they just create more asset with that, and they go over and turn it over so they can get more pretty paper. In the end, only one owns all of the asset, and they got to the end, and then it's like, oh well, now here's a new management. So Kim is now trying to take over the systems, but they have the it's like the employees rebelling against the new owner.
Yep.
Right, that they're conspiring not to make stuff happen.
Right. They're refusing to do their job. Now, the scary part to me has been this for some time is that in reality, what you're watching happen is there's a complete defiance of any kind of law. Nobody is following the laws. Um, and last night, we were somebody had I had gotten a message that there was somebody, to look out for the name Alexander, right? And I shared that with Kim, and then Kim did share with me that the Alexander that was blocking things had to do with the NSA. So that was legit intel, and that individual actually stole money from the Pentagon. So I didn't get a chance to follow up with her to see if that was, you know, like right now. So, but seems pretty solid, So you can, and it's the director of national security. So that's what happens. So you have your director of national security who's interfering. This was it Keith Alexander, who he's part of stealing money from the Pentagon. And because somewhere in security, what they mean is, their own security. They want to create a life for themselves that's very comfortable. So they somehow think they're going to get away with stealing this money, which I find very ironic, being that Kim is always accused of these high level crimes, and she's never asked anyone for any money. She didn't ask for the position. She's done nothing but try to give money back to the people. And these frauds who like to create these, this garbage media, they try to portray her as some kind of criminal, right? And for the
Well,
most part, they do. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
once these people are identified, though, then they're on their way out the door anyway, right? Because now, you know, uh, you know, there's no reason that they're going to be able to hold their position. Right?
Well, again, this goes back to that is the certainly the logical conclusion, right? But the problem is that you have this incredible mind control program, right? And most of these people in these positions, right? They get there not by necessarily being great independent thinkers, right? And having incredible innovative ideas. They get there by doing what they're told. And so now, when we're in a transition where innovative thinking is rewarded or should be, we're in a bit of an uphill battle trying to overcome these guys. And one of the things that really it bothers me in this sense, right? Because they've been mind control on this level from this programming goes so deep where they're programmed with some kind of fear, right? So, but we're in a moment where it takes courage. It takes, people to act in the best interest of the people. It actually takes people to act in uh, cooperation or an agreement with the oath they actually took, right, to uphold the Constitution. And I feel like that is dramatically lacking in everything, in every type of public display. They talk about the Constitution, but very rarely do any of them know what it says. Because if they did, they certainly wouldn't be willing to take, a child born alive. And I got to tell you, Dan, I'm going to send you this picture, but one of the most heart wrenching images I've ever seen was today, and I mean, literally almost brought me to tears. Is it's the hand of a aborted child, and the hand on it has cuts across the palm and bruises on one of the knuckles because the child was fighting for its life as these forceps came in to pull it out, and its hand was cut. So it had actually defensive wounds. We're going to act like that child's not alive, but in fact it was, right? And things like that are we would never let that happen, right? Because if a child was born alive, we certainly would at very least, after ripping it from its womb, we would, at least fight for its life because it made it out, right? And I mean, we do that for people on the battlefield from the other side at times, right? So things like that would never happen. Things like trying to remove to disarm the American people. That is anti the Second Amendment, right? That they're trying to come in and take away our weapons. And you know what? That's why it was such a big deal when Trump yesterday, or last Friday, when he got up there and he, signed in front of everybody, we are not going along with the United Nations. You will never take our sovereignty. I mean, that speech will go down in history because it was such a bold move.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the dimwits in the mainstream media, they're trying to call him a white nationalist, racist, right? Which is just ridiculous. Just because you're white and you are a nationalist doesn't mean you're a racist. It doesn't even mean you're a white nationalist. It just means you're a nationalist, which means
Right.
you stand for your country. And he happens to be white and whitish, right? I mean, so it's not the way they make it out to be is something totally different. They add that color to it, they add their flair to it. But look, even my people here in New York, there was a lot of things we didn't like about Trump. None of us would have called him a racist. And I mean, I knew a lot of people that worked with him. Nobody ever would have called him a racist ever. The guy was not, never has been, never will be.
Right.
You know, but that's their latest. That's the easy way to get at the heartstrings of people, right? Because people don't check things out, they don't look them up, they don't pay attention. They don't have a single bit of evidence to back that up. Not a single bit of evidence, but because you have Islamic terrorist groups that have planted themselves on our soil. So now they're going to say he's a racist because he's fighting that. Well, would you rather him go along with the terrorist movement? Yeah, that's the thing they want to do right now. He just he appointed the Islamic Brotherhood and said that that is a terrorist organization, which it is a terrorist organization. And so the only defense they had, and I want you to think how ridiculous this is. The only defense they had was, well, now you're going to make them mad. What? Now you're going to make them mad and provoke them to action. Are you kidding me? Like, if someone is a terrorist, they're plotting and planning on the biggest possible way to hurt us, right? That's their job, right? That they don't believe that we have the right to be here. If you were, this is the mentality, right? And and they're gonna strike one way or another. I mean, they might strike sooner, but it doesn't matter. You know, that's what their job is. I mean, that's what they want to do, right? They want to get rid of us. So any group, and I don't care what religion they are, it doesn't matter what they are. Any group based on hate that wants to eliminate people, they need to be identified, and they are oppositional to us, and we can't avoid that. And we have to be honest about it too, and just say what it is. We can't, just keep hugging our way into bad situations. We have to just say, look, I don't care if it's politically correct or not. If you support this doctrine in this Islamic group, I don't care what your religion is. You are a terrorist. We don't even have to call you Islamic. You're just a terrorist.
Right.
The entire, and this is the thing that, in addition to that, you know what? In reality, you have a massive terrorist group in the order, in the Illuminati, the deep state, that's currently has the authority. They are terrorists, right? And they're on American soil right now.
I have a problem in general with the whole idea of saying terrorist. All right.
Okay.
If someone is going to be a bomber, right, and going to blow up themselves, even, and I wouldn't call them a suicide, but they're murdering. They're just a bomber. They're blowing themselves up. But when you start labeling people with terror and making these new rules against them, those rules then get applied to others. Even they expand the rules, they expand what the covers, and then people that are making gardens are now terrorists. It does go to that extreme, and so as soon as you start doing it, so you have the events that are definitely, hey, you killed people, you murdered. That's good enough. You want to start dividing people into these categories, right? Here's the terrorist. Here's the Islamic terrorist. Here's the Christian terrorist. Here's the satanic terrorist.
Well, I agree with you, but I really don't know how to best manage that. Because if you have people gathering and spreading this hate-filled doctrine, which I see all the time, it's very common. I mean, even in the Bronx in New York, which I mean, the Bronx is not something that you would think this would even be possible, right? But up in the Bronx, there's areas that have been completely taken over by um, Islamic uh, mosques, right? And so the whole area is Islamic. So now you have Islamic police that are walking around telling people like, hey, you can't wear pants. And they're trying to enforce Sharia law on like in an area that's like mixed with like Hispanic population, and I can't see that ending well. I mean, that's going to result in violence at some point. There's plenty of Latin gangs in that area.
Well, identifying that that this is actually a aspect of the war against the population of different nations by the cabal, right? That their plan was to use Sharia law, right? So you just have to say, okay, Sharia law is off the table for the next 100 years, right? Because it's being used as a weapon. Can't go use it anymore. So that's it. It's off the table. You want to talk about it 100 years from now, we'll re-examine it, but don't come in with it as a part of an overall takeover plan, right? Well, TUI is on the line, and TUI, was expressing that they have a particular takeover of their country from people that are from India and that are Muslim, right? But it's part. It seems like it would be in line with all the other plots out there to have the Islamists come in and upset and take over. So this is something that you have to we're stuck with the identifications that have been labeled there because that's part of the conversation. We have to change the conversation, make it part of this. So if they're taking over the money system, it's already a corrupted money system. We have to replace it. We have to put in a new money system, one that's not functioning in the same way. Decentralized, banking instead of centralized banking, right? A system where the flow of money is reverse. It goes, recognizing people are the ultimate value, because we're priceless. This is where we start, right? And then when people come and do things, you value that. So hey Tui, well, he came on for a second. It's okay, Tui, you jump on in. Hey, and I noticed we hit 200 people watching, but we only have 53 likes. So people, if you like Tui, give a like.
Because of the three of us, we all know Tui's the most likable. It's okay.
No.
If we like Tui, so I figured, we say we like Tui, or if you like what Tank just said, give a like. If you like what I just said, give a like. But if you like Tui, go ahead and give a like. Oh, we're up now at 3,000 likes. No.
I see.
Oh, they are starting. The likes are coming in. They've got 6 just added.
So what's going on?
Thank you.
Steve.
Yeah, hi, Tank. Hey, Dan. Thank you. It's just I just want to thank everyone first. Thank you so much, everyone on the live chat. Thank you so much, everyone watching live. And thank you. Maybe you're watching in the future from this point of time. Thank you so much for being here with us and being here in this now that we are talking and communicating. Thank you, Tank and Dan, for the discussion that you've gone through. We were just I was just here in a meeting with the chiefs, and we've been discussing almost the same thing that you guys are discussing. the like yesterday, I was talking about how we had this strike, and we had all the leaders or the union trade union congress in Fiji, leaders that were taken taken to the prison or to the police, and they're still in prison. And today, the government received a letter from the international what's this trade union congress, which is has members all over the world. And so I've sent you the letter, Dan, on what you call this, on yeah, on Telegram. And maybe if you can just read it, if you want to, if you can, and we can.
Just give me a let me download it.
Yeah, and so like I said from yesterday, it's a lesson that we'll be learning. It's never been done in our country before, a national strike in this manner, and because there's thousands of families that are going to be affected or are already being affected. They're not receiving their pay from the beginning of this year. There's no money in the government, and so now it's just 4 months. They realize that if it continues, the people won't be able to, they won't be able to provide for their different families. So the people, they brought up all these concerns, and then they decide to go on strike. And so, just like I sent you the list on that day, there was about 35 associations with thousands of members. That's including all the universities here in Fiji, includes the water, the electricity, all the essentials, includes all the nursing, the nurse and the doctors, includes the education system or the teachers union, and all the other different union yeah, that's been yeah, that is the letter.
Yes, I have the letter up. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So this is dated May 1st, and this is going, to the president, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Honorable Josiah V. I don't know how to say that last name. Mara.
Yeah, just pronounce the letter with the vowels. So if it's BA, that's Ba. If it's just
M-R.
E, no, you pronounce everything with vowels. If it's just sending alone, then you'll pronounce the vowel alone.
Okay, you tell me the name.
Ba ini marama.
Ba ini marama.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
quickly. All right. So in continuing, and also the Ambassador of Fiji Assembly, Brussels. This is going to Brussels. Okay. All right. In regards to the arrest of Mr. Felix Anthony, dear Prime Minister, I write on the behalf of the IT. Is that UC? UC.
yes,
IT.
International Trade Union Congress. That's
Okay.
all the unions in the world.
Oh, representing 207 million workers in 163 countries expressed grave concern over the reported arrest of Mr. Anthony, the Secretary General of the Fiji Trade Union Congress, our affiliate in your country. So they were arrested in which country? In Brussels?
Fiji. In Fiji.
Here in Fiji. Okay.
Yes.
The arrest comes ahead of a planned nationwide protest later this week over labor issues at the Water Authority, following protests by hundreds of laid-off workers. Reportedly, Felix Anthony is accused of breaching the public order and was arrested by the police immediately after a meeting with the Minister of Labor yesterday. We were informed that the official of the International Labor Organization also participated in the meeting is due to represent workers in a tribunal hearing on the Water Authority case tomorrow. Freedom of association is one of the primary safeguards of peace and social justice. Workers have the right to express their views and defend their interests, including through peaceful demonstrations in an atmosphere free of fear, intimidation, coercion, repression, and violence. The arrest and detention, even if only briefly, of trade union leaders or members for trade union activities or membership is contrary to these principles of freedom and association. Fiji, as an ILO member state, has committed to respect, promote, and release the fundamental principles and rights and work. Moreover, by ratifying ILO Convention 87 on freedom of association and protection of the rights to organize in 2002, Fiji explicitly accepted an international legal obligation to respect the principles enshrined in the treaty. We therefore call on your government to immediately stop charges against Felix Anthony and urge for his immediate and unconditional release to allow him to continue his trade union activities. Charges against others who have done nothing other than exercising their right to peaceful assembly and association should immediately be dropped. In addition, we call on your government to engage in good faith negotiations with the FTUC leadership to agree on a peaceful and constructive way out of the current crisis at the Water Authority. Sincerely. I can't see it. The bottom. Yeah, that's. I guess this just happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the letter is. I just gave you the letter, but there are other information about how they're gonna handle the situation if this doesn't happen. They're gonna block every single transport, in through the air, through the planes, and the shipments and all the export and the imports. They will block that if this doesn't happen. So this was written yesterday. The other information that is out now that they're trying to actually solve and contain this situation where the whole world doesn't know it, or maybe try to contain it in a way, and they're trying to actually control the because now that there were people in the airport expressing their views on everyone that's coming on to the Asian Development Bank meeting that Fiji is hosting in Fiji. And so they were taken, about 40 of them, 30 something of them taken to prison. They took they took the leaders and all the association, the nursing association leader, the other association leaders that were planning to go on strike yesterday, and they took them and locked them up. And so they immediately received this letter from because we have a ambassador in Brussels, and so their main office is in Brussels, and so they gave this letter to the minister, to the ambassador there in Brussels. So that's why it's addressed to the ambassador for the prime minister in Fiji. And so right now they're working on trying to stop all the all the union members that are part of this big 200 million people part of this organization, or this union all over the planet. They will be creating what you call this. They will lock down everything that's coming to Fiji and going out from Fiji. They won't be involved in it, and so that's the warning that they've given the government right now. And like I said, we are waiting for physically for the strike that's going to be happening tomorrow. And there are other people that's already been laid off, and they've been stopped there for not to come to work. They wanted to come to work, but they've been locked out by the police, and they're taking people to do tasks or locking them up. And for us, for us here, and the chiefs and the elders, we are just watching in awe, and we we can see that the that this is actually happening, and we know exactly what's the solution, and we just want to wait so that the lesson can be learned, because we can help right away. I mean, Tank is here, he's listening. We can go straight up to the prime minister and talk with him, and talk with you, Tank, and talk with the governor of the Reserve Bank or the central bank here, and we solve we come up with a solution in a very timely manner. But yeah, we would want there's a lesson that the PM and this administration would have to learn from this, and because this is not going to only happen here in Fiji, it will happen everywhere in the world. Fiji is just just the first sample or the template of how the collapse of the whole not just economy or not just individual countries but the whole planet, because of how the money has been closed, because we don't want any more enslavement to be happening, and that's the agreement of what the Bara Confederacy Agreement is. Sovereignty can only be returned in this manner. So if we keep the money coming in, then the sovereignty will take a long time for people to remember who they are. So we will be sending our the business plan or the budget that you already come up with, and it includes the mobility funds that I want everyone on the planet to be mobile, to move around, to learn and understand more dimension onto the whole entire projects of what the Manna means. And yeah, so we're at this point at this time, and we're excited, and we want to learn a little bit more on what's going on and what's happening. Yeah, so you and I, you, Tank, Dan, and everyone listening in, we fully understand and we fully know the solution to it. And this is going to happen to all the countries or even some countries like Venezuela and all this. It's already happening there. It's already happening, and I know what we learn from here. We'll be able to do it to the rest of the Solomons and the Vanuatu. We were talking last night. I was talking with Dale, and they're gonna allow they will be working together to try and get access to the central bank, and that's coming up very soon. And so we'll be able to do this in a very, very delicate way. That it's not just, the trust is not just helping us with money, but it's teaching us about the spiritual energy within us. That is what gives value to everything outside of us. And I'm looking forward. With Dale, and I'm looking forward to working with our Prime Minister, with the rest of the government. And in a few days, this thing might accelerate in a way. It might hurt a lot of people, but sometimes we have to try. We have to learn a little bit to be able to wake people up and allow a little bit of awareness or a little bit of lesson to take place in order to accelerate the change. So yeah, so at this moment we are at that point from Fiji, and it's not really gonna bother a lot of us, because we live in the villages. The main people that are affected are the people that they're living in the urban areas, near the cities, in the towns. I live at the farm, so I don't. It's off grid. My electricity is. We don't really need electricity. We don't need water. We have rainwater, and we have the rivers, and we have the natural. We have food grown, like natural organic food grown all over the place. And yeah, we'll see within these few days what's going to happen, and I will be able to make decision, and we'll be able to whatever choice or whatever decision that we make, It will determine the lesson that we will learn here in Fiji as an individual and as a nation. And I'm just thankful that we've already met with, we already talked with the tribe from Australia, and they will be arranging a meeting with Kim because they have the personal her personal email that's directed straight to her because they've been working together from the beginning, and maybe hopefully they'll be able to, or the tank will be able to arrange that, and we'll be able to talk. And just this unity is very important. Just by communicating, we were laughing yesterday because we are using telecommunication, or this version of communicating, because we they understand that in our native tribe we don't even use this because we can know each other and connect through just the physical body, using the physical body itself. And we were just laughing about it, but I said, yeah, I'm just thankful that we're using it right now, and it's a great way to actually get into contact. And it's amazing. I'm getting into contact with the whole planet, and understanding what is actually happening all around the world. And thank you for everyone that is listening in, whatever part of the world that you are in, or wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for giving your time and the energy to come up and to join the call today and join the show. And please leave a like, and thank you so much for your presence. And yeah, that's just about it right now from Fiji. Back to you guys.
Back to you guys.
Thanks for the report.
Tui's developing his radio personality pretty well, I gotta say.
So take it away, Tui. So we'll have to start doing the talking head spit. So I really pray that everything in Fiji as well as rest of the place in the world, and we don't have to have the bad path, the violent path, the negative things. We can actually transition out of this existing system with very few bumps. The money is available. All right, it can come out in projects. Once it goes out into the hands of the people, it will stimulate an economy, and we grow that other economy while the other one is dying off. It's okay. We don't have to have major upsets along the way. It's just that people will start to have more and more money over time as the projects roll out. So we can do it peacefully. We don't have to have violence. We can do it Gandhi style, right? Gandhi did his whole mission based around non-cooperations, non-cooperating with the British in this case. Right? They just stopped. They just did strikes. They stopped doing things and said, and all they did was point to the door, leave. So that it was very simple. The people have the power. Together we are strong. So we just have to band together, and that's what we need to focus on. Let's let the money flow into the hands of the people in the projects, and then we will transition without a lot of problems with everybody. And everyone that's worried in the government that you're going to lose power and you're not going to have all the super wealth. You could do a project. You'll be quite fine. Right? This is a time for us all to gather our focus and build something new. So thank you, Tui. Thank you for
Indeed.
us know. Indeed.
Yeah. Thank you. Right now, like the discussion that we've been having, that the collapsing of I just want to comment on the physical aspect of this global reset, because like I've been like how you've asked me about what my role is about this whole reset of the whole planet, and what Kim and the Manna World Holding Trust represent from the Ra Confederacy point of view. The physical reset that's happening right now is It's just the expression of the reset that's going on within everyone on the planet, and it's the illusion is breaking slowly and slowly, and people will wake up in time. And like you said, the we can choose to go in a very with a few bumps, or go in a very smooth way, or we can choose to go in a very violent way. And the most important thing that the confederacy, or the agreement that I have, that is part of my soul agreement, is simply what you just normally said, the sovereignty, where the what like what Gandhi did and what people did, and that's what people in Fiji are doing now. They're standing up together to create a strike. They're not afraid of going to prison and all that. They realize that realization that together they become really strong, and no one can control them. They start to get through the experience. They start to remember the power that they truly have, and then and that's why I want the lesson to be learned in that manner. It's just a peaceful. It's a peaceful strike. They just don't go to work simply because there's no money. They haven't been paid, and the police are trying to put them and take them and lock them up because they've been complaining for not getting paid. And so it's
well, then that just confirms they're a slave, then, right? The slaves are locked up, right?
yes, under arrest. Yeah, because like if you understand it, now the slaves don't want to be slaves anymore, and so they just try and put them in prison or something, just to pretend that, oh no, you just need a rest, but and then you'll go back to work as soon as you come out from prison. But now that's not going to happen anymore, because that's part of the Ra Confederacy Agreement, which simply means the sovereignty to the rest of humanity. And it means not just sovereignty, it means the kingdom of heaven that is gonna break all these illusions, that is gonna break all these structures and all this that has been built up for thousands of years. Who's gonna break it? It's just the spiritual energy within you. So however it's gonna come out, or wherever, or whatever part in the world that it's gonna be, and as soon as we stand up together and we do this together, we will express that sovereignty. We'll be able to express that sovereignty because the value comes from one another, from the love that we have towards one another. And this is the reason why we are taking the initial fund that will be coming to Fiji is going to be sent all over the world. We're going to try and send it to everyone, because it's not because of the money, it's because they are the value of everything. This money will help them rejuvenate, change that moment, and realize that it's all happening and it's all starting. And this is gonna like spark the projects to happen. Even though we haven't sent them the whole, whatever project, how much they need for their own projects, but just send them, bring them to Fiji, make them just learn about the law of the land this year. So I want people to come and learn the law of the land and how it works, because we've been so deep into the sea for thousands of years. People forget how to be sovereign and how to own land. They always want to buy it. They always want to, express all this value in monetary terms, and it makes money over sovereign, sovereign to people. And in Fiji, then you don't own the land. You are the land. The land is you. Even though they just, they calculate it in such a way so that everyone has part of it. But in a village, we don't care. We don't value, if you want to plant here, if you want to plant there, if you want to share, it's part of your agreement. It's, you're free, because, you're sovereign to actually create anything you want. So, to be able to learn that, and then to be able to implement that spiritual agreement into the projects, I know the projects will be approved, and the money will flow naturally, because of it's going together with the flow of the fifth element. And that is the biggest lesson that we might help people learn here in Fiji. That not just the people that are involved in this manner, the lesson that they'll come learn here is the lesson of the fifth element, because there's so many people still having questions of what the fifth element is, what and I said, don't worry, you come to Fiji, you will figure it out yourself because it's in you, and you'll just come here, and it's just an environment here where it can accelerate, then you can accelerate and to learn that. So the funds that are coming in, it's part of that that's agreement, and what's happening right now in our country. It's simply people recognizing their sovereignty, working together, try and just tell the government that you don't own the government. It's not your government. Because all the time we will hear our prime minister in Fiji, when he talks about the government, he will always say, "My government has done this. My government has done this. My government has done this." And so, as now he will learn that the government is an illusion, and the structure is an illusion, and the real thing that is in there is not the building, it's not the computers, it's not the networks, but it's the real people, flesh and blood. They are what creates value to every agreement that in the government or in the families, in the marriage, and all these illusions that we agree. The people are the real. They are not assets. They are the source of the asset. They are the source of everything around them. They give out the value from everything around them. They are the beginning of everything, and in that sense. And so realizing how the value that we have in individually and then together as a group, and exchanging that expression of mana, or the love that is within you, these will create more and more value, and it will just bring a lot of peace and abundance in the future, and people will be able to organize and to maintain it, and to be able to help this love not only fulfill the love to circulate around us, but to grow into the future. So that's one of the reason why we are setting up that mobility fund. Even though we didn't even know the name, we just set it up, and then thank you for giving us the name. Yeah. So it's mobility funds, and it's gonna be sent to everyone that's involved, or everyone that wants to be involved. So no one is, believe me, there's no one. Because if we run out of money, we'll ask Tank again to send a little bit more or more to get everyone that wants to come and have a vacation here. And in that manner, we will just we'll boost up the economy of this country in that moment by coming to Fiji and help the economy here in Fiji. It's collapsing in this way, and so we can't just funnel money and give it to everyone. We have to use it in a way that it's beneficial to the country, and it runs and it increases the GDP of our country. And so not only that, we'll be able to do that to all the entire country that we go to. And by the time we able to focus on our different different projects, we already help everyone because we'll be celebrating all over the world. Celebrate the freedom this side and celebrate the freedom there, and everyone will want to celebrate because they will by then truly understand what the freedom truly means. And that's my hope that we will do that in a very, very what can you say, a very, very grand way, that we might do that and together here in the Pacific, in the US, and wherever you are in the world. Believe me, the projects, the celebration will come to you, and please don't worry. It's just a matter of time, because we just want you to come here first, and then we'll go to the next country. We'll be celebrating. I told the chiefs, we'll be doing this for 7 years. If we can do it for more, if we don't cover the whole planet, then we'll continue, and we'll continue the time. Maybe make it 14 years or. I told them that we'll be able to control the education system. We'll stop people, in classrooms and all this. Come and learn about your freedom, learn about who you are, learn about your body, learn how to regenerate yourself, and fully repurpose the whole education system and the health system. So people will be able to stand up alone and be able to learn who they truly are physically, understand how the body works, understand how the nervous system works, understand how they can actually heal themselves, and then understand how they can spiritually heal themselves, and then understand how to help one another do the same. and together as will be a very strong nation. They will be very, they will be, everyone on the planet will be sovereign, and in a very short time. And that's the reason why I contacted you guys, and we are on the right track, and looking forward. And I'm very excited to be able to work with you. Thank the team, the Kingdom of Manna, the Manna World Holding Trust, all the tribes here in the Pacific, and all the tribes in the planet. And thank you so much for that opportunity. Thank you so much for for this the show and setting this up. And just grateful. And all the chiefs here in Fiji, we would like to thank everyone, and love and blessings to everyone that's on the show.
Well, thank you again. Where did that come from? Hearing myself. Maybe it's here. No, that's muted. Okay, just making sure. I don't know. Well, there is a lot going on. Thank you, Joey, for catching up on what's going on in Fiji, because that is everything has started there. And I do think that the Asian Infrastructure Bank and the meetings are going on with all the other island nations there is synchronicity. It's part of this to spread as the money trust, and then helps Fiji out. Then all the others would just go along with it, right? They said, hey, well, the money is over here. It's just being given to us. We just have to have our sovereignty.
Yeah, that's a few weeks ago when I heard about this development bank meeting, this development bank, there's a very high probability to just jump into the meet and talk and represent the trust and represent the Manna World Holding Trust and introduce the Manna World Holding Trust to all the governors and all these all the banks and all the not just the governors of the central banks in the Pacific. And I think it's not just the Pacific, it's also different parts of the world that is also here. And so I wouldn't have any problem to do that next week, because the meeting begins tomorrow on Friday. So they decided to do the strike the same day that the Asian Development Bank meeting happens. And so it's not, it's not, we are not surprised. You might not know this then, but what is happening right now, we already have it in our legend. It's already here, hundreds and 200s of years ago. Our ancestors already mentioned all this. They already mentioned the name of our prime minister, that name that you're just trying to pronounce, Bainimarama. The name has a symbolic name into the Ra Confederacy. The Bainimarama simply means the oppression of the feminine energy. So once that comes to an end, now that it's coming to an end, the oppression of feminine energy right now on the whole planet is coming to an end. And so I'll have all these U2 movement, the Me Too movement, all these realignment of all the pedophilias and all this, and the Soman, and that's what Kim represents, the feminine energy, and how it's gonna change from a masculine probability in the past for 26,000 years, fighting and wars, to a feminine love and regenerate and recreation. And the Bainimarama it means that the law, or just like what you see, they take them to prison, they try to control people. This is what it means, the Bainimarama. So when these strikes happened, this has already been mentioned hundreds of years ago in our legends. It's already in our dances. And when he came to power, and he knows that he's part of the, he was not even born. His name is already mentioned hundreds of years ago. And so our ancestors already knows that all this will be happening. And the same spirit that I'm now talking to you was then the one that wrote those words, and they're the one that did the law of the land to protect everyone, so that Fiji will have what you call the Book of Life, not the Book of the Dead, but the Book of Life, where every names of people in the tribes, or the native tribes, are recorded, and they are chosen to be living spiritual being, flesh and blood under God. And so they were able to own land, and they were able to have all they have, in a sense, they have their sovereignty. And so this has been kept for even before we got colonized by the English. We already have this to protect us from the law of the sea, because they already see through all these illusions, and the same spirit that I am was the same spirit that prepared all this. And so, like talking to you, like when I say who I am, the first time that I came on the show, people might at this moment they might think that I'm just I was just born now, or I'm just 33 years old, but my awareness is a little different. It's a little longer. It has a different way of seeing things, because of I can understand my connection 26,000 years ago. And so that's why the tribes in Australia were surprised, because when we started talking, I was so happy, and they started talking about how we can get ourselves out of this slavery system. It's like what I was mentioning yesterday, and I told them, no, we already have the law of the land. We are running on the law of the land. That's why our government cannot control our land, because our trust, there's a trust that's here in Fiji. It's called the Native Land Trust. The Native Land Trust, it protects every native tribe, and binded every native tribe to the asset, which is the land, and to the assets, or which is in everything. And then they just brought the illusion of democracy to try and come and run the whole government in a democratic kind of way, where we vote. But the government is not the Vanua. The Vanua is different. The Vanua is the sovereignty of the people, or the land and the people, the water and the sea, the plants and the animals, and plants and animals in the sea. And so that's the Vanua. If you read that letter that we wrote to Kim, that's why we can write this kind of letter, because we practice the law of sovereignty in Fiji. And the reason why I want people to come in, so they can come and learn the law of sovereignty. They can come and learn how to actually to create relationship with each other when you are sovereign, because it will be a new thing to everyone, because it's been so long that people have been enslaved by the old system. They've forgotten how to be sovereign, and they wouldn't know how to live as sovereign. And to be able to accelerate it, they can come and live here, and then be able to understand it's not that hard. It's really, really simple. You don't even have to do anything. You just be yourself. And so, that's why we want to introduce that experience to everyone that is involved with the Manna, or that is involved with the Manna Holding Trust, and to be able to, fulfill our role in that manner, and we'll be able to teach and accelerate the spiritual aspect of it, and fulfill what when the suppression of his expression of the feminine expression of God, the creative force, and express that in a very, very powerful way. That that's what this change is all about: love, regenerate, and love one another, and treat each other as sovereign. This is what it means to be to express the ZA Confederacy, which is what Kim represents, and it's part of our DNA. So the ZA agreement, it works together. Like I said, there's a letter I wrote to you, Tank. I wrote to the Kingdom of Manna, because I wanted to reach out to Kim. I told her in the letter that there won't be any creation without the masculine energy. She is already the expression of feminine energy, creative energy. My expression is the masculine energy, which is the spiritual foundation. So the spiritual is the foundation of the creative energy outside. And together in this unity, the new creation can be created. And so that's why I will always work on the spiritual aspect of this change, and what Manna truly means within us. and what the fifth element is, the natural structure of the planet. And that's how every living thing works. That's how every living plant works. They just follow the laws of the fifth element, or the natural law. And to be able to, that's the reason why I can, I can talk in this manner, and I can talk in this way. It's part of my soul agreement. And yeah, I'm looking forward, because the feminine Bainimarama has come to an end. It's not a physical thing, even though he's just physically representing the government. I told the chiefs today, we don't need the government. No, it's not needed in a way, in the Fijian meaning. It simply means that we don't need to change the government and change the physical illusion. We already have, they are already in the Vanua. It means they are already in the, spiritually, they are the kingdom of heaven. The physical part and the physical agreement, fighting with each other and all this, these are just illusions. They are not real. And we don't, because there are talks about, oh, we should, overthrow the government or change the government and all this. I said, no, our kingdom is not of this world. It's not physical. Our kingdom is in man, is in you, just like what, the feminine energy, it's Jesus represents. The kingdom of heaven is in man. And that's what's happening right here. And when people will fully realize that, the physical kingdom will just just wither away, like that dream that Nebuchadnezzar had in the Bible. It just withers away, and then it's gone, because it's all in the mind. The government and all these other illusions that we create. We try to create all these illusions to protect us, but at the end, it harms us again. But it's all illusion. It's not real. And then just need a waking up, and just it's like watching a movie. You're watching a movie, Batman versus Superman, and you arguing in the movie like, oh, I want Superman, no, I want Batman to win, I want Superman. Yeah. And so when it comes to the end of the movie, some people, they want to rewind the movie and go back to certain parts of the illusion, and they want to rewind it, and they want to go through it again and over, rewind it again over. And some people, when the movie is over, they still think the movie is still going on, and they still perpetuate the illusions that has been happening. And so, it is time to realize that you are actually watching the movie, and it's time for you to maybe change the movie, watch another one, or create a new movie that you can create, not just watch another one that somebody else created for you. You can create another movie that you can express your creativity and the energy within you. And so it's a very, it's a very big lesson that everyone will have to learn. Every single one that is going to be involved, or that every single one that is alive now, because this is what the agreement is, to come and help the planet, help themselves. And so just a spiritual an expression of what is actually happening. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, it's time to start a new movie, yeah, or a new game. Time to move on. So, well, thank you for Julie. You've had now we're up to 86 likes. So you got 25 people that like you. Good, it's good to have some people that like you. Yeah, there are two that don't like you though. So it takes all kinds, but it's all right. So,
that's okay. When they come to Fiji, there'll be no judgment of like, and we'll just accept each other as who we are.
Fiji is magical, man. It's like Oz. It's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to come to Fiji. Well, all right, well, I wish peace on the land of Fiji, and that there's not too much turmoil as you have this transitional event.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something about our spirit here. You don't have to worry about all the you might think we don't express violence in that way. We're very peaceful people. So if the police comes in, take us in, we'll just be quiet and take it. But in other places they can stand up and fight. But here it's because they're just Fijians, just like us. and they're just wearing a hat, being a police, or they're trying to, uh, feed their families. We understand that they're just doing your job, and after work we go and play, and we go we go to the grounds and we play rugby together. That's and hey, why did you take me to lock me up today? And he will just say, oh, I'm sorry, just doing my job, and then we'll start playing again, and then next day we'll start doing it. But this illusion will begin to break very soon. So the people will be truly valued for what they truly are, and that's just a lesson on how it's all coming down and breaking down into pieces. And so some people will think that that's the true, like that's the real world. But when it starts to break, then they will start to wake up and start to realize that it was all just an illusion. So we are in that transition right now in Fiji, and we don't have to worry about anyone. Even in the past schools, there's no one dying, like killing each other. Or no, we don't have that. It's just an empowering illusion outside. Oh, the police, the military. But yeah, we we're just an example of what it's not an extreme, because the state of awareness here is rest and regenerate. We just look at something and we see that, oh, it's just somebody's just going, and we don't make it a big deal. Yeah, so we'll just want to, yeah.
With the arrest of Felix Anthony, possibly this leads to you to meet with the prime minister, and then can go to the Swift 2 terminal and say, hey,
Indeed.
here's the money.
Yes. So yeah, so I'm thankful. That's why I'm thankful to Tank. When I have the chance to do that, we'll be doing that, and we'll be able to learn, and everyone will have to learn. The prime minister will have to learn, and they will be, not just here in Fiji, but immediately the rest of the Pacific will be able to learn that really fast, and everyone will have to know it, and even people from the US. I will be reaching out to the president as well in the US, because the leaders, it's so easy for them to talk, and easy for them to communicate, and that's they have the same level of what it means, or to be able to the same understanding of what I mean. Yeah, so been looking forward to doing that, and yes, that's the plan.
Maybe the Fijian military can talk to the U.S. military about what's going on with the money.
Yes, yep, that's happening. Yeah, that is happening, because the Fiji military it needs money,
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to say something. I just want to let you know that the Asian Development Bank gave 35 million to the government for 35 million, and I said, whoa, I don't think even our project here is not 35 million Fiji. I don't think that would be enough to actually solve anything in Fiji. And yeah, so 35 million.
It doesn't sound like it's too much.
No, not even it's not even a day's or a week's worth of the our civil servant. They are owed about 400 million in just 4 months, and the PLOs, which is the contractors that the government contracted and give out these contractors, they give out services to the government. They give out the government buys stuff from their vendors. They have they have 200 million owed to them, and so about more than 600 million that is owed to the government, owes to the public or to the people, and to all the businesses. And so there's no money. 35 million will just vanish in thin air. I think the prime minister and all the people on top will just share that money.
Yeah, that sounds probably right. That's just it's just the top level people. But they really need to go see what is in the trust and get to that terminal. So
yeah,
that's
it's unfortunate too, actually, because first of all, it speaks to the fact that these major organizations that used to formerly provide funds, like the IMF, for example, the IMF, they said that they were giving a loan to Argentina for $50 billion. And you might remember just a few months ago when the Secretary of the Treasury for Argentina stepped down. Well, he stepped down because they never came through with the money. And Argentina had to pay them back $10 billion just to get the $50 billion. And so they're using techniques like that. So I wouldn't be surprised with the Asian Infrastructure Bank, because I said that they don't have any money. They put up 35 million just to, make it to save face, so they can make it look like they have something. But what kind of infrastructure could possibly be built? What kind of a bank does that your country is in need of a minimum of $1 billion just to really start to generate income, just to start to generate a production line to give you 35 million? I mean, that is like, that's t-shirt and website money. That's not, that's bribe money.
I was just say, yeah, it sounds like it's bribe money. It's lunch money, or just a few people.
Yeah,
Well,
that's very unfortunate, because all that's going to do is just slow things, and that's all they're trying to do right now. Their whole agenda is just to slow things down.
Yeah, so here's a little bit of money. Just here's some healing funds. Yeah, more healing funds.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it now, right? And by the way, that is exactly why they did that too. They're giving healing funds because they're trying to tread water and not get, not let the peasants storm the castle.
Right.
They're trying to suppress us. Hey, if I give you 250 grand, you'll be quiet. You'll tell everybody how you got money and the RV is happening, right? Because you got 250 grand. For a minute, that's gonna feel great, especially if you haven't had money in a while.
Yeah. It lasts
but
about
all this stuff, all this stuff is just designed to stall the inevitable. And
then you're gonna hoard that too, because 250,000 is not going to be enough, right? So you're gonna hoard it, right? You're say, oh, I might not get any more for a while. Look what's happened, right? So they're gonna all get into hoarding, which is part of the 7 deadly sins. You're just acting down the wrong road.
90% of the people won't even get that money. Maybe 15, 20 people will get that, just so they can save face and say, well, people got money, and it'll be one person from every circle, who gets it, who they can say, well, I got my money, And all this is designed because they're trying to figure out what to do next. How do they overcome, the quantum system that has been literally, has already taken ownership of all the assets on the planet. And they're trying so hard. And this is the system they thrived in forever, right? They held all of us hostage with it. And now it's being used against them. And that's the reality. And now they want to fight it, Before, they worshipped everybody at that top level like they were gods.
Yeah.
And now none of those people are there. And you know what? And they were all taken out the same day. There's one left standing. It seems like that one would be, like if it was them and that person was, in line with their agenda, they would love it, Yeah, enslave the people, all the things they're going to do. Zero Hedge today, which I think this is incredible, actually, because Zero Hedge is, kind of mainstream alternative media.
Mm-hmm.
They put out an article talking about the UN's global annihilation agenda ramping up, right? And the guy from Natural News, he talks about the biosludge, how up in I want to say in Washington, they've legalized biosludge, which is basically that you can liquidate human beings and just put it right back in the sewer system and put it right back in the soil. And the reason why they would do that, and keep in mind, the West Coast is a hotbed for all this stuff, right? They have a whole agenda on how to disseminate these biological weapons directly, through that area, to expand throughout the country. And you can actually, it's silly, but there's actually a show called iZombie, right? And it was a great show, actually. And iZombie takes place in Seattle, and they end up walling up Seattle, and zombies become normal, and zombies run the city, right? And then they want to drop all the other zombies from around the world in the same city, and that's a real virus that they actually created, but they can't get it to launch. But they've already warned people about this. They've already had, people who travel back and forth to China and told them that they would put a sticker on their car because somehow that sticker is going to protect them from some virus, and said that there's going to be a SARS breakout, right? Which is, it'll probably present a SARS at the beginning, if they were ever allowed to release it. And they said you can go back and forth from your house, but there's about to be a virus breakout, and when this virus breaks out, we're gonna quarantine everyone into the different stadiums. Now, when you quarantine people into a stadium, it makes it very easy to annihilate them, right? Via,
Right.
dropping a bomb. Now, imagine that starts happening in every city in the world. Now, this is a real agenda. This is a real, storyline that they've created. So that's why, the answer to this is because everything they're weighing is in money, right? So they've got this ridiculous idea that all, global warming is all because of the people. If it's because of the people, then why are you suppressing all of this free energy technology that would literally wipe out any remnants of global warming instantaneously? Because there's a guy right there in the Philippines right now who has the ability to create and use Tesla's technology, and they've expanded on it and create free energy enough for the whole world. And they're willing to do it and distribute it for free. So wouldn't that instantaneously change everything? It would, but it would put all of these, oil barons out of business.
Well, that's part of the problem. You got to integrate it, or it takes it's, if you come out with it for free, then it's probably, you come out with it where it's 30% of the current market, also might be a problem, right? So you have to see how you can fit it in, and then over time let the energy become free, because a lot of what we have as an economy is based around the cost of energy. So changing it radically, would happen to cause more problems. So we
Right.
got to integrate that in a responsible way, right? And I don't
Very
think
true.
it's over a decade. I think that this is something that could literally change in 2 to 3 years, where the energy becomes next to free. There's always going to be some cost in development and people working it, and so there are costs. So, but if it's going to be by the kilowatt, that would be same. But why use that same model? There can be a completely different thought as to how that happens, but we have to integrate them and draw that bridge of how it happens. So, there are definitely very sound ways to make that happen.
Well, and that's the thing. These things, yes, there will be disruption in the economy, without question. There's going to be disruption, but there's going to be so much more, such a higher quality of life provided on so many levels. New jobs, new industries, new products, new ways for people to exist are just going to emerge. And on top of that, we are not dependent on, well, we are dependent on money right now, but we don't have to be. It doesn't have to be that kind of a world, and the fact that these changes, they're kept just below the surface with the intent to enslave us. And ultimately, when the answer, I mean, this is the answer that has been decided. Every human life, they plan to wipe out 90% of the population to save the economy. Now, everybody who is blocking this, every single banker, every single person in the Department of the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin and his band of goons who are doing nothing, all of the order who thinks that money is more important than human life, you should not be here. You shouldn't be here. And if we're going to start with a global annihilation, I feel like we should start with them. That way we can see, and we can get a feel. Because if we eliminate a few million people, you should have a real feel for, did that affect the environment at all? Right? If that was true. Now, I'm not actually suggesting that, but my point is if you're going to implement something like this, if this is what your attitude is, if this is what you want to do, you can't live here. You can't be with people. You can't coexist with people that want to kill you. look, gazelles and lions, they don't hang out at the same pub. Okay, they're just not friends like that, right? Because when they go to order an appetizer, they want gazelle, right?
Yeah.
So we can't coexist with people that think it's okay to kill off everybody else. We just can't. So what is the end game? Because the people making these decisions, they're just people. They're regular people. So anybody on the fence in the bank who doesn't feel like it's okay to block, transfers from the Pentagon, you are right. And I got to be honest, the Pentagon right now, really, I pray with everything in me that you are doing all you can to get this done, because I don't see how you could stop it. I don't see how anyone could stop the Pentagon. Like, to Dan's point, there is military banks. And so who are the people that are working in these places? Who Imagine being in a military bank and you get a call. Now, UBS has been the military bank, and UBS right now, I mean, they just did massive layoffs, right? So they can only hire one person for every five they just let go, because they don't have any money. So if we keep saying the same thing and we're right over and over again, if the Pentagon's really with us, if President Trump's with us, if the sole sovereign who's actually controlling these accounts is with us, how long can this last? Because in my opinion, this shouldn't last another hour. This should be rectified now, because what will happen is the trustee, she will break through. Believe me, it is an absolute fact. There is nothing they have tried to do to stop her yet that has even come close. They have never even bridged the first firewall of the quantum system. So how on earth do they think they're going to go from not even breaking through the first firewall to taking over the whole system? You don't even know how to operate it. You wouldn't even know what to do if you got access to it. You wouldn't even know what to do. And then on top of that, everybody you said to go kill her because somehow you think that's going to magically fix things, right? Because that's your answer to everything. They all come back dead. I mean, just the raw truth of what this is. So who are you fighting for? Because this is just one woman, but we're igniting the minds and the hearts and the souls in the fire in people all over the world. And I'll tell you, I am trying to set a spark in the military mindset. I know the Pentagon's on our side, but at this point, after 2 weeks of them being on our side, we should have broken through, in my opinion. So I don't
Me
know
too.
what I
My
don't know
opinion
what
too.
you guys are. Yep, right. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but do it better, because you have got the whole world stirred up. You've got France in a state of revolution. You've got people striking down in Fiji, right? You've got all types of garbage trade, all these garbage trade platforms and fake redemptions, and trying to reclaim bonds that have already been paid for and redeemed and already been registered. It's not going to work, because the, the more you try, the more nonsense you keep trying. I'm nobody, and I still know I'm nobody. But I have my finger on the pulse of all these different things. I'm nobody. Imagine what Kim knows. Believe me, you are not keeping any secrets from her. She controls the quantum mapping system that you pledged your allegiance. That is your God. It is your God. It's the one you were worshiping. All the amazing things, all the things you've seen over the years that make you think that you had this power. It was always the quantum system, and there's only one person on the planet with the DNA to access it, and it's not you. So just stand down. Just because the harder you fight, it's not going to make it better for you. Like, now's the time. Make a move for humanity for once. Act human. Just, even if it's an act, just act human for a while. Be human. Even better. But we're at that point, and the closer things get, I know Kim has already told me she is not negotiating. They have been given every opportunity to do the right thing. They've been in every opportunity to get a deal and cut a deal. And I know I just my sense of it is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the ghouls that they are, they somehow think they won a battle today, because Trump's bringing in $2 trillion for the infrastructure. Believe me, that $2 trillion is not coming from the global currency reset. It is not coming from redeemed bonds that you stole from people already. It will not launch your genocidal agenda. It's not going to happen. This is the time where everybody learns a lesson. Everybody learns a lesson. You know what? I'm a fan of people of quick learners, right? People who just pick things up quickly. At this point, you're never, never, never going to beat us. Just stand down. Like, we'll work things out.
Well, I think if we're looking at them, being able to transition into new funds, uh, they're available right now. It's in the military's hands. So, we have the projects. We can start. They should figure out how to put the money in there for, even if it is, like I said before, cash. If you give some healing funds, mobilization money, get it out there, and things will start chugging along, right? And then we build up an economy. We don't have to crash the world economy. It just transitions, in an upward direction. The bump is actually is going up higher, not sinking down. So and the old system, the debt system, will evaporate over time. Maybe 2 years, maybe 10 years, doesn't matter. But we just transition along the way, and we'll have the funds available to because we have all the asset in the world, all collected in one place. This is the time to create something that is new, something that is for everybody's benefit, including the people there standing in the way. So they're not excluded. They can have their projects. Get rolling. What you waiting for? Waiting for the RV? You know how that's going to end for you. It's not gonna be a pleasant sight. The world will be evaporated. What you think that you are going to be doing, these people have not been benevolent to the world and to the people. They haven't been providing, abundance. It's been, scraping out an existence, right? Because they control the flow of cash. Can't be that way anymore.
No.
That's
And I don't agree with them having their own projects. First of all, your current project, your global annihilation project you're currently working on, I don't think you understand the mission. So no, they can't. I'm sorry, they just can't.
I don't mean that project.
but that's my point though. In their mind, that's their climate, their climate agreement, right? They're saving the world is what in their mind, because people are the problem. They've created this ridiculous narrative that we all have to be eliminated because they're animals. Listen, you're the savages. You're the savages. Yes, you know what? There's a possibility that your kids will be able to come work for us. There's a possibility. You know what? There's a possibility that there's great ideas on the lower levels who have not been completely indoctrinated with your satanic rituals. Yes, there's a place for them. They're regular people. Hopefully, we can save some of the kids before you put them in these ridiculous programs that train them to be sociopaths. Yes, there's a possibility for the future generations of your families. You don't have that option. You can work in a prison somewhere, digging ditches or whatever it is that we need.
What about what if one of them that's like, say, one of the younger Rothschilds, for example, it creates a program that is a cabal rehab program where they go in and they learn about how to care and to have loving feelings for others and deal with their traumas that they were put through.
Well, we will put them through the exact same program, the exact same rehabilitation program that they put every single person who's serving 30 years time for their first time drug offense. They can go through the exact same rehabilitation program. They can go through the exact same rehabilitation program that all the prisoners are going through because it's
Okay,
not
all right.
designed to do. Listen, to be honest, I'm not trying to like. I get it. I understand. Like we're trying to appeal them. Look, I'm not jumping through hoops for any of them. First
Yeah.
of all, their conduct is so far line. It is a karmic gift that you even have a chance to repent right now. It is not about integrating into this world where you have tortured people, eaten people, raped kids, raped women, raped other men, done horrible things in the name of your god Satan. If you worship a god that wants to enslave, kill, eat, torture us, you cannot be part of this world. I'm sorry, it just can't happen. There's
So,
just no place for you. You have to go.
so listen.
You don't have, you know. So something has to happen. But what you can do is you can make yourself right with God and just repent. Give up. Try to help. So somebody in the lower levels. You guys aren't subject to this. Those people who are just following orders who don't know what's going on, listen, if you get an order that says don't allow Pentagon transfers to go through, believe me, that person defy that order. Defy that order because that order is not for you. That order gets you killed, your family killed, and everybody and not by us, by the way. I mean, that's their agenda. That's what they want to do to you. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, the phone may have a problem when they're calling you on it, right? The burner phone. Say hello, hello. I can't quite hear you. The line's breaking up.
I I was I was thinking through this a little bit today, and I was talking, just kind of throwing some brainstorming some stuff with Kim, and I was kind of like, well, if every time they held money from the trust for more than 24 hours, right, it immediately activated a virus that would shut down the bank completely, so they couldn't transfer money at all, but the regular functions would still work, and then they'd be able to see who's there at the terminal. So that person, every bank account they have would be shut down. Every bank account of anyone who is in their family would be shut down. The electricity at their house will be shut down. Their cell phone will be turned off. Everything, everybody that they know casually that they ever called on a telephone, all their bank accounts will be shut down. So you make a massive sweep of everything that they can touch and operate, and every business they own, every charity they contribute to, everything they're a part of, and anyone they're a part of gets shut down, right? And you just keep doing that every time they try to take this money, every time they try to hold this money up, because it is an act of treason. It is outlined in one of the executive orders that were put out in the past 2 years. If you in any way contribute to cyber terrorism within the United States, economic terrorism, where you use some kind of cyber tool to withhold, delay, misdirect, redirect, or steal any money being transferred in for a legitimate business that is recognized by the Treasury and the government of the United States, which every penny of this money has been cleared. Not only that, there is an organization that works for Homeland Security that has indemnified every bank. They've taken complete liability for every single transfer that comes in from the trust. Every single transfer. So how on earth could that be the case? That the bank has absolutely no liability and their negative liquidity. What kind of a awful business move is it for them to withhold funds? And the sole reason why they're doing it is they refuse to allow people, regular people who are not part of the order, not part of the agenda, who are not part of the 10% they think is going to survive the UN annihilation, because we're not part of that, because we're not part of um, the blood sacrifices of our children, because we're not part of that. You want to withhold money from us? Tell me, how did those people get a project? Never, never. You they can resist all they want. There's no way. There's just no way we can coexist. There's just no way. That group, they don't even they should not be running a bank because they have no idea how to make money. They have no idea how it really works. All they did was just attain and grab and consume. They are a cancer. Now, there's ways to deal with cancer, right? So cancer can be broken up in the body with a selective poison of cyanide created by B17. That cyanide attaches itself to that cancer and it breaks the cancer up so it turns into normal substance, goes back into the body. So one option is cyanide. I'm just throwing that out there because they are a cancer. And the other option, right, is we cut out cancer out of the body, right? We just cut it out. So, in my opinion, something in that world needs to happen to get rid of this at this time. And anybody who's not corrupted by this, who's not bought into this annihilation agenda, which is what you are part of, if you are still holding out that the currency revaluation might happen, stop because there's a whole agenda attached to it. And if you are still holding out for it, you still think it's real, and you're still wasting your time, you are pining away for something that if it happens, we're all dead. So that's my take on that.
If you don't mind, we'll change the subject a little bit along the same lines, though. But this is more about more along the lines of the Anunnaki questions. We have Inky and Enlil as the sons of Anu, right? So we're talking about base, really base, history of some of where these bloodlines came from. And so the Rothschilds having the most DNA related to this line, right? And so when we talk about this plan that was put into place, it's a plan that was developed by beings that lived like lifespans of 100,000, 140,000, 150,000 years, and so they have a different perspective on things, and so this plan that they had is something that was reproduced more than once. So this what we call the Babylonian system, money system, right? This also existed in Egypt prior, and it was thrown off, right? It was they stopped. The people rose up and got rid of it, right? And then it was brought back again. So how do we build a system that's not going to end up repeating, or at least start backsliding? Even we start down a new road and everything, they're going to come up with a debt-based system again, right? And they're going to come out and charge interest, and we start right back into sign up for slavery. So anytime you're getting into this kind of interest-based debt system, you end up with slavery. So how do we move into something that is going to be quite different, right? How do we transition and then make sure that it continues, perpetually forever?
Well, I mean, I don't even think it's really that difficult. The debt-based system is designed. It's just one part of the war-based system. The
Right.
war system is really just a control system to gather the assets. All debts, the only reason why financial instruments are even necessary is to create debt and to create the illusion of wealth. But in reality, to Anu and Enlil and Inky, they had no value for the paper that we consider to be valuable. They don't care about that. What they cared about was the assets of the planet and devouring those assets and taking them off planet and trading them wherever. So that's what's really valuable. And of that, the most valuable asset on the planet is the people. People are traded as slaves, not just here on the planet, but all over.
Yeah.
So the first thing is exactly what Tui talks about all the time. It's taking our sovereignty back, or actually, for the first time, really owning that we are sovereign, right? And being able to stand together as a collective and say we are willing to stand together as a collective, that we deserve and have earned our sovereignty. We, despite thousands of years of brainwashing, shortening our lifespan by hundreds, 900 years, by 90% they shorten our lifespan, just so we wouldn't awaken to remember who we are. All of that has happened to us. That has been the reality of the situation. And despite that, somehow, right here in the ninth hour, enough of us have woken up and realized and remember, I've done this before. I've been here. How do I change it right now? Well, it really it took one who stood up for all of us and didn't make the big corporate decision, right? When you make big corporate decisions, you don't mind, firing 30,000 people so you can save your bottom line, right? And you still make, $10 million that year. So you had to have somebody who lived here on the bottom line with us. A real general. Like real generals, they're in battle. Real leaders, they're on the battlefield. So what it has taken is a real leader who's on the battlefield with us, who's going through the same struggles we're going through, who has children that, she has to take care of. She has people in her life, and you know what? And she has not received a dime. She hasn't received a dime for this. And while she fights, and she's fighting for everybody on this planet so that we can live, because they have things that are so rooted that none of them can even believe we could possibly be successful. They look at us as a nuisance. There's and right now, Kim has demolished everything about their reality. And that's what they hate. That she disrupted their way of life. Because in their way of life, they would have just gotten rid of us and just kept on trucking. So the way we change it,
So,
we stop engaging in all of the other things. We have to withdraw. We have to withdraw ourselves from all of these things that have enslaved us. The banking system doesn't work, so there's a new banking system that's in place. And that's going to require that we're going to be allowed to have, there's going to be grant money that's going to be returned to us that we don't have to pay back. So there'll be no debt attached.
right.
The debts for the countries accept your sovereignty. Every one of you countries out there who has not accepted your sovereignty or called Kim to get your sovereignty, what are you doing? Because she put this out there over a year ago. Every one of them this should be all over every news channel in the world, that every country is declaring their sovereignty. They've been forgiven their debts because these debts are being forgiven. That's the truth. The Federal Reserve, that debt has been forgiven. There's no $21 trillion American debt. That's gone. We can be, and now if you just started from the basic, from the raw material, and there's lots of infrastructure already built. We can build the world however we want to build it. And so and the key to everything, the key to our salvation is ourselves, is each other. It's standing up for what matters. It's getting out from underneath this cloud of smart dust and fluoride and GMOs, and not signing off on our children, our babies, our most defenseless, most significant, most important, the most innocent aspect of all life on earth. Not saying, okay, it's okay to kill them. It's standing up for things that actually matter. And that's how we change it.
Yeah.
That's how we change it. But I'll tell you, Fisher, before he died, and everybody remembers this, before I went on this tirade, when I started going after the banks, going after the Chinese elders, and I started picking fights with everyone, I will never forget this. Fisher told me, you have the right to your self-righteous indignation. And he told me, we talked about it. He said, go. He was, give everybody a voice, give everybody a chance to speak their mind, give everybody a way to stand up and say what is going on. And I'll tell you what, I still feel that way. And I remember I was talking to people and letting them talk, and Fisher wasn't even satisfied with the way I did it. So he came on the call and he went off and went after everybody. See, because he knew what was going on. He knew what was going on behind the scenes. He knew how we'd been manipulated, how everything's being perverted to hurt us. They're not
So,
killing off the bad guys. They're killing off us.
yeah. So let me. Can you find that audio of that your Fisher going off and explaining this? We can go over it on the broadcast.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll bring that back up.
Yeah,
Also
you
the
brought it
first
up a
time,
couple of times.
well, yeah.
I was just
We can
saying you
talk
brought it
about
up a couple
we
of
can
times,
actually.
and I thought we're stepping on each other. Yeah, I'm just pointing out. I'd like to hear it.
Yeah. And actually, the next night on that call was on the Real Truth call. Is the first time Jared Rand came on, and that was the first time because Jared Rand did exactly what you got some of these gurus out there right now doing. Right, they're blaming the people because the RV didn't happen. Right, they're saying, "Oh, your vibration's not high enough." And I remember that's the same thing that Jared Rand was doing. He was blaming the people, like, "Oh, you're too materialistic." Listen, anybody out there trying to tell me I'm too materialistic, you can go suck an egg, okay? Because first of all, people that have nothing, all they can do, all they can do is try to figure out how they're going to survive. They're not materialistic. They're survivalists. They're trying to figure out how to get through the week. And then try to, and God forbid they think about owning nice things. There's nothing wrong with owning nice things.
Right.
Where there's a problem is when you think those nice things define you and make you better than other people. Then you're materialistic. But most people aren't materialistic. They want to be happy. They want to be comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I hate when anybody tries to condemn people for that. Like, oh, you're not going to be made. Wait, no, stop. You don't have to worry about consuming massive amounts of money and being some big fat cat.
Yeah,
You know what?
I think when you get into these, the basis of the system and how they keep control is through fear. This lends itself to those seven deadly sins, which includes, these envy and gluttony and the jealousies. So this all is what we're talking about. These, we're talking about people that are materialistic. What does that mean? They're only concerned about acquiring material things. Right? Well, it's really they're just talking about survival, right? How do they get there? Is that really something that is a problem? No, they need to survive. When people have an abundance of things, and there's not driving things out of fear, then they have the ability to be hopeful, charitable, have
Yeah,
faith. And
generous,
yeah.
kind, creative, imaginative, amazing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, the existing system recognizes the value in the people, and that's why they base everything off of it. But they completely distorted it and used it and created a centralized pyramid structure to absorb everything and send it to one. Just how so happens that the one was replaced with someone that wants to give it all back. So we have to recognize the value in everybody, and this time build a system that is not that system, not about removing everything from everyone and sending it to the few, to the one.
Right.
We need a system that's decentralized and is continually sending to the people, recognizing the value, so the value is attracted. So those systems, it'd be great to start something in Fiji, right? That is the opposite and doing something that is different, and but recognizing the value in the people. And everything is flowing from there. Yes, we have a lot of other assets. We have the gold, and we have the land, and we've got, all of everything that had already been put into the trust. But that's only our starting point. We'll go out and we create an idea, right? That is we take this idea and it turns into $1 trillion business empire. Great. And then another idea comes the very next moment. So we have assets that are being developed, intellectual assets.
And that's where I think it's how do we measure success? And if you asked anybody, what is their favorite food, or what do they look for in a mate? What is it what's their favorite thing to do? Everybody would have a different answer. There's some quality that they look for. So, and you know what? Whatever that answer is, to those little questions, that's how you measure value, right? That's how you measure value. So using money and saying we're all going to measure, the success of X based on money. That's where the problem comes in. And then if you give power to just that, right? There just has to be an alternative methodology for us to trade goods in various ways, not just money. There has to be a different measure of success. There has to be a way that we're evaluating, what is the impact you're trying to have? What are you trying to do in your mission statement? And how successful are you? And that's how you measure value. And then money just becomes a substance of, like soil. Like there's plenty of it. You use it to make stuff, right? And it's around. It's not even a big deal. But because they've enslaved, money was always a tool for slavery, always. In other planets, they can't even understand why we would have to pay to live on a planet that we were born on. Doesn't even make sense. So we have to find out. Now, don't get me wrong. I know we have to transition and we have to use money. And right now, we're still in that slave system. So to break free from that slave system, yes, I mean we're gonna have to have money, and it's gonna have to be available in a way that we can function and find value in other things, and that's got to happen now. I mean, it is. That's my announcement to the universe and to everybody out there. If you want to put your focus on anything, you go on your meditation and you're a dream weaver, a star seed, or a multidimensional galactic being, a superhero. You're working with Gaia. Whatever you are doing, put your energy not on the GCR, because that is the global annihilation agenda. That is the genocide reset. Okay. That is what it is. I'm not speculating. Those are facts. I have seen the plans. Okay. That is what it is. So that being said, put your energy on liberation. Put your energy right now on softening the hearts and the minds of those in the banks who are so defiant to do this, because as long as you keep supporting that, you're supporting the mass ignorance, not mass consciousness, the mass ignorance of the unconscious. Stop supporting the mass ignorance of the unconscious, because you can't do anything. You're not helping. Focus your heart, your mind, your soul on the liberation. Focus your heart on the world you want to create. And don't worry about how the money comes in, even if that makes you more comfortable. Just focus on the world you want to create. And if we collectively do that, my world does not have to look exactly the way your world does. We don't have to have the same things. It doesn't have to be, my perfect world might not match your perfect world, but I'll tell you what I know. Both of our perfect worlds will definitely involve us being free to move our children growing up free. It'll definitely be a place where I don't have to worry about food or water or being poisoned or my health. It'll definitely have that. I know my world and your world will definitely have that. And if we collectively agree to that, the people on this call, let's say the people on this call are the awakened souls on the planet. At least some of them, right?
Yeah.
It only takes a few of us. It only takes a few of us. And we can work out all the details later. Right now is you the source of all your assets. The soul sovereign on the planet who's desperately trying to give these back to us. It is us, as in other people, who are blocking that. And one of you right now, I know you're listening. I know you guys are listening. Wake up. Wake up and snap out of it. Come over to our team. And when you do, even your timeline will be better. All of our timeline can be better. You just be in the world we want to be in.
Okay, the first one that does it, lets it roll through. It's a project.
Yeah, you get a project. Look, we'll let you go free. We'll let you. You'll be a hero. We won't even talk about all the other stuff, right? It's like you might have lost every other game, but it's okay. That day,
Yeah, you broke through. All right. So go get your project done. See, the money coming in.
yeah,
It's all for you. I don't know if that's bribery or not, but anyway, it's incentives.
I know. It said that like bribery. Like, first of all, there's no laws in the order. I mean, they do whatever the heck they want. I mean,
Sure.
I'm paying you for services. Do your job. We'll pay you extra.
Philosophical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're just coming up on the 3-hour mark. Is anything we want to end this with? Any last thoughts?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the time, and thank you for keeping it running over here. And folks, I'm sorry about the Project Radio. I will get that fixed, and we'll figure it out here very soon.
Well, we can play. Give me about half an hour if you want, if you're up to it, and we can go and do some experiments.
Yep, that's cool. We'll do that right after this. Right. Otherwise, I'm out. Dan, thank you, and Tui, and everybody watching, listening, experiencing. Everybody, have a great night.
Everyone, be sure to share the video, share the links, share. Give the positive feedback, give the likes. It's very important. Please participate. My contact information is down below. Go Camelot information is down below. Just go ahead and check that out, and then let's change the world. Let's make the abundance-based world. Change our mindset. Let's think in abundance. Indeed. Indeed, and in will, we will create a new abundant world. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.